coming to you live from the Show Me State, birthplace of James Mercer, Langston Hughes. It's the Colbert Connection. Your hosts, Melody and Danica, are connecting you to the world through Facebook Live with today's topics, hot button and creative conversation. I'm your announcer, Dr. Colbert, working hard for a free meal and a bottle of crushed grapes. And now, here's your hosts, the Colbert Connection, Melody Colbert Keene and Danica Colbert.
Good evening. Welcome to the Colbert Connection. I'm Melody Colbert Keene.
And I'm Danica Colbert.
And we are glad you joined us today. We've got some things to talk about.
So much going on.
Man, stuff that we're tired of and stuff that we're tired of.
Or that, yeah.
And excited, yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm.
So, did you see the news a couple days ago?
Yes.
You saw what happened with the fellow and his children in the car.
Wisconsin, yes.
Kenosha.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see it, Facebook?
Just want to know when is enough is enough.
The 23rd, the 24th, we didn't see much coverage about it. Until this morning, did I see much on the news about it.
Yes.
So this is now the 25th?
Yes.
And that was on the 23rd.
Yes. Can I say anything besides yes?
I just wanted to make sure we were all on the same page.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So, what did you think about that?
You know, and you always hear, we got to get the whole full story, you got to get the full story, and I'm always okay with that, and I believe in that. 7 times?
Did you see how close they were?
7 times at close
It took
range.
7. He's like the Terminator or something. I don't know how many shots, and still didn't get it.
I'm just saying.
He's still alive, thank God for that.
Thank the Lord.
But he is paralyzed, my understanding, today from the waist down.
Yes. I did catch a glimpse of his parents on an interview today. And what his mom said was really, it was touching, but it was so appropriate for today. Because she was saying this is not her son when she's talking about the burning down of the buildings and that kind of thing. We're never for that. We're never for that type of behavior. But people are upset. People are mad. People are tired of not being listened to. Absolutely. Never do we condone destructing property. Never do we do that. But also never do we condone shooting somebody like that. I mean, and we're for police.
Absolutely.
Because that's always the misconception, is that you can't be pro-police, but also against wrong.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
I'm interested to see the rest of the story. However, a picture or a video is worth 1,000 words. And in this one...
And they conveniently didn't have their cams on.
Nope. Or I thought they just didn't have cams.
No, they didn't have. They said they weren't on.
Even better.
So yeah, here we are again.
If you can make it make sense, please do. Because tell us about it. Because
yes,
from what
absolutely,
from what I saw, my heart just went out for the kids in the car.
Yeah.
How do you ever make that right or ever understand? Or, I mean, that's hard.
Well, and the thing is that those kids are going to have mental. You know, it's mental challenges coming up because it's going to be like, how do they process that in their mind, that they're seeing their father get shot and it's right in front of them like that? How do you process that as a kid? And it's actually going to lead into a good thing for our guest today.
Absolutely.
Because he's he does a lot for the youth with the programs, and so that could be a start on how people have to get into those programs.
But we hope they don't go that way. No, we're hoping that they weren't going to go that route. There's going to be better for this family.
We're going to always look for better.
Absolutely. But let's talk about it. If y'all have questions, y'all want to know something or our thoughts on it, put it in the chat.
Yes. And
well, we're 69 days.
69 days.
Yes. Did you watch any of the convention?
No.
I did.
I got another day, right?
You got a couple more days.
Okay. I got a couple more days.
The good news is President Trump will be speaking every night.
Every night.
Every night. So, in case you haven't had enough as of yet, Every night, he will be coming to you from a special room at the White House.
Well, okay.
Yes.
I mean, because nobody knows who he is.
No.
So we got to keep him at the forefront.
Yes, every night at the convention. He accepted already, in case you wanted to know if he was going to do that. He did that on
already?
Day one.
Okay,
So-
get on out there.
So
I
you
see
can-
you, Trump.
You
Get
can
on out
basically
there.
go ahead and
Get
take
on
a
out
seat.
there.
We're done. He's done.
Yeah.
He's in. Moving on. Next.
Yes. Yeah. So, school.
It's back in session.
Yes.
Welcome back from spring break, children.
Yes. Spring break since March. Welcome back to school.
We are back in school.
Yes.
However, here we go. There is already a few that are out already.
Yes.
Spring break part 2.
And that happened.
Grove is out
Okay.
locally.
Okay.
Atlanta's got a few schools that are out.
Okay.
Web City has an elementary kindergarten that is out. And Lord, I hope that's it for the moment.
Yeah. I mean, and we're going to be having Dr. Moss
Yes.
on the 8th.
We're
so
excited.
that's going to be exciting to have her get some feedback. But it's always a iffy situation when you have a major virus out there and you have lots of people, namely kids,
Absolutely.
trying to be kids.
We don't follow directions,
Well,
y'all.
they're kids.
So-
You're trying to be kids.
My understanding is like out on the playground, right? You know,
Mhm.
that's the best part of the day.
Yes. Recess,
Yay.
favorite
If
subject.
you and I happen to be, close to the same age, you know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Because one of us is a little younger than the other one. But we
You
won't
can't
talk about
tell.
that. We won't talk about that. But if we were like, you were 1 year ahead of me or behind me,
Mhm.
right? You get to play on the handlebars today.
Yes.
And you get to play on the swings.
Yes.
And then tomorrow maybe you'll rotate and the next group will do the other.
okay.
Can you imagine?
No.
Like what if I don't even like the monkey bars
I
though?
don't like them today.
I don't like them at all.
That's all you get.
So you gotta stand there and look at it.
That's all you get because this is the new school in the age of COVID.
I am so glad I am not a child today.
It's
Can you
hard enough
imagine?
being an adult in the age of COVID. To be a kid in the age of COVID is, yeah. But
I feel for them.
You
So,
adapt.
children, look, get to like all of the pieces of equipment.
Yes.
Find you a jump rope. Now, okay, I switched schools, early on.
Yes.
And when I started at my new school, my mom was like, I'm like, Mom, I don't have any friends, She was like, well, take a jump rope. I was like, jump rope? Do you know how many friends I've made with my jump rope?
Everybody loves to jump ropes.
So
Everybody.
get you a jump rope, children. Get you a ball, if that's allowed, and make some friends.
Cause
Then you can't share your ball or your jump rope.
yeah, because you
Yeah.
gotta stay this far and stay 6 feet.
Yes, but that's another day.
We joke, but we feel
We feel the pain. We
Yeah.
definitely
But you
feel the
can't.
pain.
This time they can't be kids,
Yeah.
and that's a sad thing. Anytime that kids can't be kids is a sad thing, and it makes the parents kind of act crazy too.
Well, absolutely.
I mean, I'm going to tell you about road rage. I want to know on our viewers out in Facebook land, how many of y'all get road rage like every day if you leave the house? I mean, go ahead, start typing because
you
we
have
need
to
to know.
leave the house to get road
Yeah.
rage, and I would be indoors pretty much from
Yeah.
6 to time to come out here.
I
See you.
mean, get
I'm indoors.
road rage.
Yeah.
And I think it's because they're not able to social hug and do all the stuff we used to
Can't do
do.
it.
And so they have to take out their frustrations, and road rage seems to be a top place to take it out. Just cutting folks off, stopping in front of people, just doing crazy stuff.
However, they don't do that if you go get the chicken we talked about last week. If you want to get past the road rage, pull on up the Chick-fil-A. That's where it stops. Stops at the parking lot.
We're helping you, Rick, even though you don't need it. We're still helping you because we know it's the Lord's chicken.
And everybody is polite and knows their manners.
Right. And you can go out looking any kind of way because it's COVID.
It's COVID season, y'all. It's COVID season.
Which
Let's
leads
talk
you
about
to
that.
yes.
I saw a post and it really got under my skin a little bit.
Okay.
This post was about this young man that had applied for a position at a car rental place. I won't even say the building.
Okay.
You get on me for saying
Yes.
that places. Some of us have actually worked there in our lifetime.
Okay.
However, you can find my resume and find out what that is.
We are not promoting anybody until they become sponsors.
There you go. But he had a great interview. He went in, he said, I went and got my Sunday's best on, did my best, and got that phone call, right?
Mhm.
He's like, oh, his heart was racing, whatever. And, I don't think he answered, I think he had to make a call back, but he found out he got the job, which, made his little day, his little family, he was
Okay.
excited. However, they told him he would need to either cut off or change the length of his dreads.
Mm. Well,
I don't even know where to begin.
it's kind of hard, and I have to do both sides of this one because a lot of places have policies, and they're already in place before these people, whoever they are, apply. And so if you choose to accept that job, then you're choosing to accept these policies. Yes.
I'm gonna be polite about it today. However, I think if anything, COVID has taught us it's not about your haircut. It is not about your hair color if the roots are showing. It's not about if you've got the shaggy look because you haven't made it to the bar. All those things.
Yes.
You can still get your job done. I don't think the comment that was made to that fellow was fair because would we have told the young lady with hair all down her backside that she needed to cut her hair off?
True that.
So is that fair? I don't think it's a fair comment.
Okay, and I can see it both ways. I can see it because this is his natural hairstyle.
Right.
So you're telling him his natural hairstyle is not good, and whether it's whoever it is, but in this case, it happens to be a young black gentleman.
Absolutely.
And clean cut, just very professional.
Absolutely. It looked better.
And he had it pulled up, and
no.
it was really nice.
I've seen some people that spend money on haircuts.
Yes.
Now, we've seen mullets, we've seen
Man.
mohawks, we've seen frohawks, I've seen vivid colors, some good, some bad.
Yes.
But all of that to say,
What
who's
is
to say that
professional hair?
What does that mean?
It's,
And a lot of us are working from home, so who cares what your hair looks like?
well, if you're on Zoom, you gotta at least have a band or something.
I've seen
I'm
some
just
things
saying.
on some Zoom calls now. But I'm just, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think the pandemic, if we take anything from this craziness,
Yes.
did any of that even matter when it came down to, can you do your job? Did you show up to do your job in a pandemic? All those things. Like, yeah, I might have had a fro hawk because I couldn't go get my hair done, and not on purpose, and my roots might have been showing,
Right.
but I showed up every day and did my job.
And I still have to work.
Absolutely.
So where's my, I guess, leeway somehow.
They probably missed out on a very good employee because he didn't say anything bad in his post. It was very professional the way that he put it.
Yes.
He was like, I'm just going to pass on this opportunity.
Yeah.
And I was like, good for you, because he was probably growing his hair out. He's committed.
Hey.
Dreads take a long time.
Man.
And so his commitment to dreads and to what he stood for,
Yeah.
he was like, no, I'll pass. It'll be something else.
I think it's because a lot of people don't realize that as black people, we have a lot of versatility with our hair. We are able to do a lot of things with our hair. And a lot of people don't understand that. Hence, can I touch your hair? Well, no, you can't. But, because, I don't really want to touch yours, so why would you want to touch mine?
But we get that question.
versatility.
But we
Yes,
do get that question.
We do.
And you're looking like, this is awkward.
Yeah, not really. I'm just, no, you can't.
We're used to it now, though,
Yeah.
but still, it's like, that's an awkward question.
Yeah. No, you can't touch hair. It's really not a good thing to ask.
And is it your hair?
Yeah.
Even though it probably isn't, because as you see, my hair might be short next week and back to long next week. So
Mine now.
yeah, so but
it
we
is
don't ask
long.
those
Look at
questions,
that.
right?
Now, let's see how long it is. So you really don't know, but yeah.
Yes, but we don't ask those questions. You know, like,
we don't really care. But,
no.
It is what it is.
It's just yeah, it is.
It is.
true.
So you told me that on the RNC on the convention they were talking about the plasma treatment
Yeah.
and how they withheld it until the convention time so it can be announced.
It's magical new Republican information.
Okay,
We didn't even know it last week for the Democratic information.
it got held up.
This is fresh off the press, hot off the press,
All I'm saying,
for Republicans only.
if it's if it's able to help, I'm glad that they have finally unmasked it or unveiled it, whatever. Just help the people that need it. I mean, it shouldn't be a political volley. It should just be, this is something that's out there that can help people. Let's get it to them. I mean, it's just that simple. Let's quit making everything Republican, Democrat, red, blue, just nonsense.
That's why we're purple today.
Nonsense.
We are
That's why
purple.
we love purple. I love purple. And so that's what we're working with.
So here's the deal.
Mhm.
People are dying,
People are dying.
and if you've got something to help the people, shame on you for
For
not
holding
sharing.
it. That's
Absolutely.
exactly right. I don't care who
Absolutely.
it is.
Yeah.
Don't care
I don't
who
care which
it
side.
is.
It's just shame on you.
Yes, because if your positioning or whatever it means more than the potential to save a life, absolutely shame on you. And that's anybody. So, yes.
You know, we having good little conversations today.
NFL! It's
Well,
time.
wait.
Oh, my bad.
We got to talk about bubble ball first because we haven't got totally the way
You
to
don't really care about basketball?
Bubble ball. Bubble, that's what they call it. now, y'all.
NBA bubble ball.
Yeah, I'm a basketball fan.
Yeah, I used to be, but that's back when Jordan played.
Well, that's a whole
basketball
different-
stopped after that, except for LeBron and Kobe. But rest in peace, Kobe.
Yeah. It was Kobe Day the other day.
Yeah.
Did you notice that? 8/24. You missed all that.
So
8/24.
8/24 was my daughter's birthday. That's what I was
So you were
busy
celebrating,
doing.
okay.
Yes,
Fair
I
enough.
was busy doing that.
Happy birthday.
Alyssa, happy birthday yesterday. She ain't watching.
No, she ain't.
Yeah, but football, okay, so have they had any cases in the NBA?
Yeah, that's a great question.
No.
Tell us.
They've had false positives. That's what they've had. So that stands to reason are false positives being outside of the bubble.
Because we only get one test.
I'm just saying, false positives are a thing.
Yep.
And that, if it's occurring there, it's occurring everywhere.
Absolutely.
And so some of these counts are not accurate.
I
That's what
agree.
I'm saying. I'm not saying it's not real, people. Just calm down. I'm just saying some of the counts are not accurate.
So, that being said.
NFL?
Yeah. Go Chiefs! We'll be wearing Chiefs jerseys next week.
No, we will not.
Okay, sorry.
She might, but I'm gonna have Cowboys all day. I don't
If you
care
didn't
who
know-
doesn't like America's team.
The Cowgirls? Oh, sorry.
See what I mean? Everybody hates on them because they're true champions. And we got a little struggle for a lot of years here recently, but
How many years?
it's been a while
No.
since we won. But we won.
But you didn't win when it mattered. Moving on.
No, that's y'all with the choke system. But you know, hey, Mahomes brought y'all out of it, so I'm excited about
Speaking
that.
of Mahomes.
We're gonna get
Wait.
Patrick Mahomes.
Can I get a close up?
We
Speaking of Mahomes.
zoom in on us, because we want Patrick Mahomes to know that we want you on the Colbert Connection.
Absolutely.
And you can bring your fiance, girlfriend, whoever she is.
And bring Travis with you when you come.
And Travis,
Absolutely necessary.
Yeah.
Bring him with you.
And y'all can bring your people, but just we need y'all. Matter of fact, just fly us up there and we'll broadcast live from Kansas City. Just do that, yeah.
There we go.
So anybody who can get that message out to the Chiefs, to Mahomes, and with the Cowboys too, because I'm not going to be, be mad.
Anyways.
Yes, we need to go to the dome.
About that. I see we got some Chiefs supporters here.
Well, they have nothing better to do.
Thank you, Michelle.
Yeah.
Anywho,
Yeah,
so
moving on.
Let's talk. I saw a cool, I guess it was cool, but it was kind of like one of those, man, we're talking about that this week.
Yeah.
It was a conversation they had about things that shouldn't be happening during the pandemic, right?
Okay.
So people
Such as?
shouldn't be getting evicted. However, if you're getting money, you should be paying your
Pay
bills.
your rent.
That's my 2 cents. People that shouldn't be, what is it, when your car gets repossessed, things like that. Things that shouldn't be
Pay your car note.
Absolutely, because y'all got that extra $600 a week. Right, but anyways, that's not my business.
Not either. And we do know that there are people who have other bills, such as
Absolutely.
medical things and things like that. But you know, the TV, it could have waited.
It could have waited.
Because-
Definitely so.
Reality is setting in again. That's all we're saying.
So there was another situation that shouldn't be happening
Mm-hmm.
during the pandemic. And I feel like if there was a way that it couldn't happen anytime, I think that should be the case. Like, why should a person ever age out of foster care?
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
That was hard for me. And the word they used was a moratorium. Is that the word?
Yeah.
Okay.
Time's up.
Okay, yeah, I was like, what? Ooh, I had to look it up because I didn't know. I did.
Only reason I know is because we used it during the tornado
Okay.
as counsel. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I had to look it up and I was like, what
But
does
hold
this
on
mean?
it, yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, absolutely. And there was a young lady there that had gone through the system and of course age out, and
Mm-hmm.
she had put together this program about, helping people after they've aged out. And I'm like, well, why is this? If that's your people, if that's your foster family, that should just be your people.
Yeah.
And but I get these heartstrings of mine, and I could say sucker across the top, but
It's also the lady at the family who adopted the baby and then gave him back.
who does this?
Help me understand that one.
What did he do? What did he do?
He's a baby. What did he do? He didn't fit into the mold. And he didn't fit into the mold. I mean, I'm just saying. We want to know, is there something we're missing? Because you get a baby, you love on this baby, and it fits into your family, makes the pictures look really good, and then the baby might have some difficulties from its birth parents or whatever, and baby's just not a fit for our family anymore.
After years.
How does that happen? I don't know. Inquiring minds want to know. But aging out of foster care, yes, it's a reality.
It's a reality. Unfortunately, like you said, it is. But I want to talk to our guest today.
Yes.
Eric is going to be vital for programs like that,
yes.
Different programs we have and systems set up within the courts that people may or may not know about.
And yeah,
we need to know what's out there. We gotta know.
Well, because the programs that are out there have got to be preventative first, because hopefully they're in schools, or they're putting this kind of thing in schools, but also they have to be not penalizing these kids. You know what I'm saying? Because there's something going on that's caused this. There's something going on.
Absolutely.
So I'm excited to hear from them.
Me too, and I also want to, the trafficking thing that we keep seeing going on. I want to know what we can on that high level. What can we do? How do we help? What do we look for? All those things.
And to separate it from the conspiracy, because there's something called QAnon or Qanon or Qanon or QAMON, and it's something about how, I'm not trying to be political, but the Republicans, they're grasping onto that and saying it's all these Democrats that are these child traffickers and just all this. It's really distracting from the real issue of child trafficking and sex trafficking. And so hopefully he's going to give us some insight to that too, or that, so I don't know. I'm just excited to hear from him.
Well, without further ado,
yes.
Today, our special guest is Eric Theis. Did I say it right?
Theis. So that's okay.
Man, we messed
way
it
up.
That's all right.
Y'all.
I get it a lot.
It's wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
we're sorry.
Yeah. I apologize.
It's not the first time.
Man.
Theis.
Yes.
Okay.
Let me write that down as in
Okay.
H is silent, long E.
The H is silent, long E. Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna do it like that so I know how
Jasper County
to say
Circuit Court Administrator. And he
Yes.
has a lot of different programs underneath that umbrella. So criminal justice is my thing, y'all. Y'all know that. I'm all about it. So I was chatting with him before this, and I'm excited to hear about what you've got going in the Jasper County.
So welcome.
Well, thank you for having me first. And, you all talk about some really serious topics, but you guys have fun doing
Yes,
it.
yes.
I'm not used to that.
What?
I work for the court system. It's
No,
all
I know.
serious. Right?
Yes, it's like smiling. What are you doing smiling?
But thank you for having me.
Thank you.
So tell our viewers a little bit about yourself, just to.
Sure. My career has been in corrections. I've been doing it for about 25 years. I came over to the circuit court in 2015 as a circuit court administrator, and a lot of people think of the court as, you watch Law and Order.
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
And that's a key component to what the judges do, don't get me wrong. I mean, we have to dispense justice, and people look for the courts to resolve disputes and that type of thing. But a lot of people don't understand that the courts also have a lot of divisions outside the court that are service-oriented. For example, the juvenile office is a division of the court, and a lot of people don't know that. We also have a treatment court division that handles individuals that come through the criminal justice system because they have a variety of problems, whether that be substance abuse or mental health, or they've been a veteran.
Okay.
And they become justice involved, is what we like to call it. And then we also have our court services programs where we go into the jail and we identify individuals that may not pose a risk to the community and that can be released without having to pay for bail. And then we provide them services and get them linked to services when they get released. And so we do a lot of things in the background, and that's one of my responsibilities. Well, I have a lot of responsibilities, but I do the not so fun stuff like the budget and things of that nature. But the areas that I'm really excited about, and we're really cutting edge here in Jasper County, and in terms of how we deal with juvenile justice, how we deal with individuals that are coming into the system that may not necessarily be a danger to the community, but for whatever reasons they become involved in drugs or something like that. in getting them the help that they need, because it's a matter of, you know, we want to have a safe community.
Yes.
We don't want people to, you know, have recidivism, which means commit further future crimes. And so we want to give these people the tools necessary and the support necessary to be productive citizens. And so that's kind of what we do. And you know, I'm willing to take any questions you have, but we can start with juvenile justice and move on down the road if that's what you want to do, whatever you want to talk about.
Something that was interesting to me that you just mentioned, I knew that there was substance and, you know, but I didn't know mental health was something that you all had an umbrella for. How or what is, or how do you cover that? Like, how do you even begin with something like that?
So, because of deinstitutionalization, you know, we used to have mental health hospitals right in the 60s, and it began actually in the 60s and just kind of progressed through the 80s when Reagan shut down those. And the idea was that, you know, it would be more cost effective to leave them into the community, which is, there's a good component to that, right? Have them be on medications and things of that nature and stabilize them that way. The problem that we're finding is that when they don't take their medication, then they usually become involved in the criminal justice system because they use drugs. They end up having contact with the police. Usually they're nuisance, what we call like nuisance crimes.
Right.
And then, you know, the police officer becomes involved with them. You know, maybe they stole a candy bar at the store or something like that because they're hungry. And then they have meth on them. And then there goes the felony. And so then they go into the system. Well, Randy, Sheriff Kaiser, you know, everyone knows Randy. Anyway, he has really, we've worked together as a team in identifying individuals that are coming into the system that have mental health issues. And how we do that is when they can become arrested, we have staff in the jail that identify those people through risk assessments, and you know, we assess these folks. And then we basically identify them and track them. And if they're appropriate for a mental health court or other programming, then we put them into those programs. And the idea, again, is to treat the issue. I mean, we really do a good job in the criminal justice system of treating the symptom, like dealing with the symptom. But what we want to focus on is what is the root cause.
Yes.
And so that's what we focus on, that's what we target. And then we place them in our mental health court. We have one of those, and then or other treatment courts. We have 4 of them actually. We have a drug court, we have a mental health court, or what we call co-occurring disorders court, which means that they have a substance abuse issue and a mental health issue. Then we have a DWI court, and we also have a veterans court. And so we are really working hard to work with the community, and you know, because the reason why these folks are coming in there is because they have an underlying problem that needs to be dealt with. Like, for example, the veterans. Most veterans have PTSD. They may have you know, a traumatic brain injury of some sort, and so they become involved in the system. And so they've served our country. Okay, I mean, they've been involved in wartime, and so we try to give them the services instead of locking them up. You know, providing those services. Now we do hold them accountable. Now let's get that very clear. Okay. As a matter of fact, our treatment courts are the most intensive community supervision that there is. I mean, they have to call in every morning at 5 a.m. and for a random UA. They're usually tested around 8 times a month, but they have to call in every morning, so they never know when they're going to get drug tested. They're in front of the judge every 2 weeks. So there's immediate consequences and there's immediate rewards. And the idea behind that, it's almost kind of simple, you know, with your child. If they touch the stove, you don't wait till tomorrow to deal with it, right? You deal with it right then because they can associate the bad behavior with the. That's what we do with these people. Is that we, you know, once they have a violation or they do something that, you know, we don't want to put them in jail, but we recognize that they're using drugs or not going to treatment or not doing the things they want, you know, they should be doing. There's a consequence to that immediate. And then when they do something well, then they are rewarded for that. And so it's a twofold process, and so it's very successful. I did some research, and we took a pool of individuals that had, for example, a drug offense, and they went through the traditional criminal justice system where they went up to, you know, to prison. The recidivism rate is about 40%. In Jasper County, our recidivism rate is 10%. So we've reduced. Now, it's not a cure-all, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, but we certainly are making a dent, and I think it's important.
I like that because, just like we said earlier, you're looking for solutions. It's like, how can we keep them from coming back? And
Sure.
you know,
Well, not only is it benefit, I mean, here again, and you guys kind of touched on it a little bit with foster care. When parents get arrested and are incarcerated long term, what happens to the kids? They're usually put in foster care.
Yeah.
That's impactful for future generations. You know. Now, granted, they did what they did, but there are alternatives. You know, to incarcerating long term. First of all, incarceration doesn't change anything. It really doesn't, and I've been doing it for a very long time, 25 years. And so, and not only that, but it's cost effective. I mean, you know, reincarceration and those types of things for low-level offenses are not changing any behavior, which means that they're going to continue to do those things, and B, it's more expensive. And so I'm a pragmatic person in that way, and so I really reached out to the courts and the judges and the sheriff and the law enforcement community and our treatment community, and we work together as a team, and we provide those services and hold these folks accountable at the same time, and really it's good.
that's a good. I like that. I mean, you're giving them a chance. It's like, it's not just a strict penal. You're not just penalizing them. You know, it's like, no, we want you to learn from your mistake and do better,
You know,
not come back.
And actually, that's true.
Yeah.
But actually, there are some people that don't want to be in our program. They'd rather go to jail because
What?
it's a difficult program to navigate. You know, it really is. It's not easy to go through this. I mean, but we know through research that they talk about, and I don't want to get into all like jargon and everything, but we deal with what we call high risk and high need. High risk is an individual that may be a youthful offender, may have been incarcerated before, has multiple arrests and those types of things. And then high need are people that have no education, substance abuse issues, dysfunctional homes. And so what we do is we target those high risk people, okay, because they're the most likely to commit new crimes. But then we focus on their needs, because we know that if we focus on those areas, then their likelihood to commit new crimes is a lot lower. And so that's what we do. That's the idea that we have in the philosophy that we have, is we deal with those high-risk folks. We don't cherry pick like the first person that made a mistake and add it's a little bit of marijuana or anything like that. We deal with the folks that have been in and out of the system a lot because of their drug use or whatever issues they may have, mental health. And we focus on them because they're the ones that are using up the most resources and they need the most help.
So you do have, I heard you say mental health. Do you have mental health advocates or doctors that are able to give them treatment or to talk to them?
Absolutely. We partner with the Ozark Center.
Okay.
Ozark Center is part of our team. And so those individuals go in and they've received the treatment that they need. The key to the program is this. It's a collaborative effort. You mentioned, I think, before we got on air about community. Okay? And so it's the same thing with the justice partners. We all work in unison to work. So when we do a staffing every 2 weeks on these folks, and we go around the table and everyone has their comments. The probation and parole officer, the law enforcement, the treatment provider, and we all come together and say, hey, this is what's been going on with this individual. Working together as a team. And then if the person is doing well, the judge gives them praise, which psychologically is huge for offenders. Yeah. Because offenders only associate a judge with penalty.
Punishment. Yeah.
And when they see a judge that genuinely cares about the individual, it has a huge impact because that person is a person of authority. And most of these people have never had an attaboy.
Yes.
And it doesn't take a lot. Yeah. A hand clap is a huge deal for these folks. And so it's not soft on crime. I get that a lot. It's not hug a thug.
It's human.
It's being human and being real and working with the people to make a difference in terms of their recidivism. And that's what keeps the community safe. And that's where we're going, and that's where we're continuing. And it's resonating. Missouri has more treatment courts than any other state in the United States per capita. But we have a lot. And because we're the trailblazers.
Yeah. Well, I know this area is kind of notorious for. Yeah. No, we're cleaning it up.
Job
it's getting
security,
better.
I guess.
Exactly.
I don't know if I like that, but I like to
I
like to put myself out of a job.
Yeah.
Actually.
There you go.
That's
my
the
goal.
Well, 25 years, you might be about ready though.
Not that old. I started as young. I started when I was 15.
Okay, of course.
Yeah.
So I
I have a question.
Sure.
Talk to me a bit about how normal people like us who are not anywhere in the system, how can we help in any of the ways? Maybe it's CASA, a local CASA program, or is it a foster program or something that anyone can do?
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, so I kind of got off on a tangent on the treatment court, but the juvenile office, okay, we have a brand new juvenile justice system.
And it's
center, and it's beautiful.
Thank you,
We,
taxpayers.
thank you very much, absolutely, because it wouldn't have been possible
Absolutely.
without them.
Mhm.
And we made this as a trauma-informed facility. If you drive by it, it looks like a school,
Mhm.
okay? But we do have a detention piece, but most of the work that we do is preventative and programs. Because again, we know that most of the kids that we deal with, almost 85 to 90% of them have some type of trauma, whether it's physical abuse, sexual abuse, verbal, emotional abuse. And so that's why they're coming into the system. And so we're empowering them through programs to give them that opportunity to change their life. And that's important. And so we can't do it alone. I mean, the juvenile office does a really good job. You mentioned about getting into schools. We have juvenile officers in each school district.
Okay.
And that's important because we're in their environment. We know what's going on, and the intervention is quick. If there's a problem, the school administrators and teachers, they know what's going on in the home, okay? They know what's going on in these kids. And so we have an officers housed there, not just visiting, they're actually in
Wow.
we have partnerships with the Joplin schools, Webb City, Carl Junction, and Carthage, the major ones. And so we're in there identifying individuals because it is about prevention.
Right.
And so we want to intervene before it's an issue. And so all that to say, there are many programs that we run after hours, and we have a program director. Her name is April Folks. And if anybody would like to volunteer to do that, some people get kind of concerned about, doing long-term stuff, mentoring a kid,
Right.
which is that we do have a mentor program,
Oh,
by the
that's
way. And
good.
so, and that's really important. But a lot of people get nervous about that. But if you have a skill, like if you're a teacher that's retired and you can tutor, that we have tutoring, and so there's opportunities. And I think I gave you a brochure of the different programs that we run. There are many of them. There's like 25 of them, but it's online, everybody. So
We'll post
online.
I'll post that.
Post it up. And get in contact with April Folks, our program director, at 65-4300, and you can get plugged in that way.
Oh, no.
I'm gonna reach out because I tell her I don't get out much, but I told you criminal justice is my thing, and I don't get to do much with it. But my gosh, it would be so cool to get to make a difference for someone.
It's about community. We cannot do this. Our juvenile office, even though we do an amazing work, I have amazing group of staff,
Yeah.
but we can't do it all. I mean,
Okay.
we have to work.
It takes us all,
It takes
yeah.
us all. And there's people out there that have a heart for working with kids, and feel free. We have a beautiful facility to be able to facilitate those programs, and we would be welcome to have any help you can get.
I like that. We're going to let you guys know that we are really hot because
Go turn the
we're
air back
still
on.
waiting on those investors. So the
not
noise
good.
level may go up a bit,
Yes.
but we got to have some circulation. So we apologize in advance. No, we need real circulation. And just turn your volumes up. We'll put our mics up like this so you can hear us really, really close. But we're dying. Yeah. So that's mainly for our angel investors who would like to invest into our program. You see, we're starting to glow here.
Yes.
But anyway, we digress. Back to
business,
Yes.
right?
And we're so appreciative of our guests sweating with us.
Right.
Woo! We're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
But anyway, so you're in the schools and you have these programs. What do you do that distinguishes between kids who may be, and I hesitate to say problem kids because there's really not problems. They have problems that they are dealing with. Some of it might be they don't have a steady home, their parents may be fighting, whatever it may be. And so kids being kids will act out the only way they know how to get attention. And so how do you differentiate between, that?
That's a very good question.
Just in case, move your mic up just in case. Because we ain't turning that air back off, I'm sorry. We're going to take a station break while we wipe our foreheads real quick because it's hot.
I can talk really loud.
There you
too,
go.
so-
There you go.
That's a good question. We have a clinical director that everyone that comes into our building, we receive an assessment.
Okay.
And so, to your point, we don't deal with just the behavior. We deal with what caused the behavior.
Okay.
What are the reasons for them coming in? So we have a multitude of assessments that we run on every child that comes in,
Okay.
and we don't overreact either.
Okay, I like
mean,
that.
if a kid, maybe cusses out a teacher or something like that. I mean, we're not wanting to drive, because here's the thing, we don't want to drive a child into the justice system.
Yes.
If you do that, there's a lot of research out. The farther they go into the juvenile system, the more likely they are going to be an adult offender. I mean, there's stats out there all over the place on that. And so what we do is we divert as many kids. Matter of fact, we divert about 85% of the referrals that we get. And what a referral is like the school or law enforcement or parent or something like that. We get 1,500 a year, every year. So we got a lot of work, right?
Yeah.
But we divert 85% of them, and they go to these programs where, like for example, I'm going to tout on one of my programs. It's a culinary class, okay? And so a lot of the kids that we deal with do not know the concept of having a meal. They don't understand that. Their idea is a ding dong and a Coke, because that's what they get for dinner, right? And so we teach them that socialization aspect of that. Also, when we don't think about this, and it's so, I love the people I work with because they're so much smarter than I am. But they talk about, it goes beyond just making a meal. Teaching out, it's about creating a grocery list.
Yes.
It's called budgeting.
Budgeting.
Okay? Things that are basic skills that kids need that don't get it at home.
Wow.
And so that's one of our programs that we run. And we have a grill masters class where the kids compete, like, what is that program? I don't know.
Yeah, on HGTV. I think it's on
You know
the
what
Food
I'm
Network.
Yeah, the Food Network. And so they compete against each other, and I get to eat Top Chef,
Yes.
right? And I get to eat what they prepared.
I mean, we're
And-
just trying to understand why you haven't invited us.
Oh, well, I'm telling you, it's on. It's on now. You're in.
We can invite them down here and have a
There you
community
go.
feed for people.
But
Right, that's
it's
cool,
really
yeah.
that simple. I mean,
Okay.
it's pouring into the kids. The other program that we have that I think is really important, and you may have heard of the school to prison pipeline. I don't know if you know that.
Yes, and I'm glad because I was going to mention that.
So the school to prison pipeline, for your viewers that
Yes.
don't know what that is. When I was a kid, and I was a while back.
Just 25 years ago.
25 years
Just 25
ago,
years
yeah.
ago.
But back in the day, when we were kids, we got in fights and whatever, and we got detention or SWATs or something like that. Now it's criminal, okay?
Yeah.
And what we found is that these strict policies that were enacted in the 90s and are still with us today, zero tolerance policies,
Yeah.
which I understand, okay? There's always a collateral consequence to anything. Any policy, that is
Yes.
there. I don't care what you do,
Yes.
there's a consequence to
Absolutely.
any decision you make, right? And so one of those consequences was that it disproportionately affects minorities.
Yes.
And people that are coming from homes that don't have that structure or or dysfunctional, that type of thing. So it disproportionately affects them. So when you suspend a child that already has issues anyway, long term, okay, then they become academically behind. Then what happens after that? They drop out, okay, and then they end up getting in the criminal justice system because they don't have the skills, abilities to function appropriately in society. And so that prison to pipeline, here in Jasper County, we have an alternative school where we partner with all the school districts in Jasper County. So if a child is suspended, they don't get to go home and be at home where parents are at work and they're running the street. They have to come to our facility. What happens there? We partnered with the Joplin schools where there's a teacher there, and they continue their education and they're held accountable. And so once they get done with their suspension, then they're reintegrated back into the school. And so there's no gaps in their education and there's no excuses. And it's a huge program because, again, I kind of work through the whole system, the adult and juvenile. And what we see in the adult system is that 90% of them don't have a high school education. So there's a huge correlation between education and criminal behavior. There's other things involved too. But the idea, and here's what I told my juvenile officers, if they're completing school, if we can get them to complete high school, that means they're educated, that means they didn't cause any problems at school, you know what I mean? And they were productive, and they weren't causing problems and getting arrested and smoking pot and doing all the things that they're not supposed to be doing. So that is our barometer. That's the thing that we strive for, is to get them educated. And Judge Gail Crane, she is a phenomenal judge. This is her vision, this whole system, and we're moving it forward, and we're seeing a lot of progress.
You said that how
I'm hitting you with
I
a
know
lot of
you really
information,
are,
I
and
know,
it's like
right?
it's overwhelming because, like you said, people think the system is set up to fail. It's not, but it's not supposed to be easy because you did do something wrong.
Sure.
So in doing so, and I like to say, I like that you have all these systems in place to help you find the method that's going to be best for you. However, my question being, a parent maybe thinks they have a child that has a issue. You mentioned before, like parents and the school. So the parents can bring a child into your program. They don't have to be sent from the school.
Sure. We do get most of our referrals come from the school, I'll be honest. And you mentioned COVID, and that's really been a bad deal because abuse is reported by schools, and when kids are at home, we don't know. It doesn't get reported. And so I anticipate in the next several months that we're going to see an influx of that kind of referral. But that's unfortunate. But that's kind of the reality we work in. But the parents can refer as well. We're getting ready to open up a new website. It's not open yet; it's under development. But one of the things that we're wanting to do is on the website give the public the ability, or parents the ability, to go on the website and you can make a referral online. And then we can, in the juvenile office, will get in touch with you and help you in any way possible.
Yes, like that.
It's like your own little mandated reporter.
I know.
I love it. I love it. I mean, because like you say, with school out.
It's tough. COVID's been tough on everybody. I mean, it's been challenging on multiple levels with, our administration and decision makers, whether to wear a mask or not to wear a mask and all those things. And I've been involved in that too, and I'm tired of it just like everybody else is. But it's a season, and we'll get through it, and we'll move forward. But school's back in session, and so we're moving forward, and we have our juvenile officers out in the schools. We have our programs up and running, albeit with social distancing and masks. But we want everyone to be safe, so yeah, I'm excited about what we're doing. We do have one of the things we do have that's unfortunate, but we do have a detention side too. So there are kids that are a danger to themselves and others, and so we also have that part of our facility that we handle. But it's amazing, and I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but we're getting more from the region, from other areas, to want to come into the detention area of our facility because of how we run it. I mean, we have school inside the detention too. We have to educationally provide for even kids that are in detention. But our programs that we run on the detention side, and the facility is what's called trauma informed, which means that you will not see any Constantine wire or any of those kinds of things. It looks like a regular, it's kind of amazing. It has a courtyard where you can have sunlight and all that stuff, and it's just amazing.
On the inside of
on the inside.
Downtown,
Wow.
the one downtown.
Yeah, the one that looks like the school.
Yeah.
There's a detention
So in the
center
middle
there.
is it-
It's on the north side.
That's so cool because usually, like you say, they have that horrible look and
Yep.
it looks like a prison.
It
and-
doesn't.
So it is a campus type.
It looks like a
Yeah.
school. And it's a trauma informed, so there's a lot of light. The trainer HL was our architect, and by the way, they're the architect with our new projects that are going on in Jasper County. We're having new courts
Courts
on.
that is so neat.
Oh yeah, it's most definitely.
And 20 years past.
Yes, 20 years past. Thank you, voters, again. But the facility is just state of the art. I've had numerous calls from other states that are saying, "What are you doing in Jasper County?" And I take a lot of pride in that.
As you should.
And I take a lot of pride in what our workers are doing. It's not something I'm doing. It's all my people that are underneath me that are doing, and the judges, and just us as a whole system is just really working together as a team to do the best for our community to make it safe.
That's what it takes.
I love every bit of
I
everything you said.
know everything because it's proactive.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I mean, reactive, we know where that gets us.
Yeah, and you're not just labeling kids.
Mhm.
You know, you're actively trying to change their direction. You
Right,
know,
and that's why we don't want, that's part of, it's funny you mentioned that, it's part of that trauma-informed design. We don't want the kids to think that they're being
Yes.
stigmatized.
right.
They're going, as a matter of fact, truth be told, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but it is the truth, some kids don't want to go home. And that's kind of sad.
And that's sad. But I can believe
And
it.
it's the
Yeah.
truth, but you know, we're trying to empower them. We tell them, because some of their parents are in trouble,
Yeah.
in and out of
Yeah.
prison and all that, and we tell them, you don't have to go that route if you don't want to.
Yeah.
There's people out there that will help you, and you have a different way if you want to take it. And so we just give them the tools, and we can't, you can lead the horse to water, but you can't make them drink.
Yeah.
But we provide that for them, and we're seeing a lot of successes. So I'm excited about that.
It's just awesome because some of the things that some of us take for granted,
Absolutely.
like you just expect your parents to be at every game. I expected
They
it.
were there.
Yeah, they were,
Yeah.
and the uncles and all those people, and like you say, some of them it doesn't take much, but great work, great job this week.
That's all.
Yeah.
And so I make a point when any little kids, we're doing whatever. I'm like, oh, good job, because you just don't know.
You never know
They
what
might
you
not-
say will
That's
have
right.
an impact on somebody
Absolutely.
lifelong.
Lifetime, for their whole life, because so many times you're told you can't do
Can't,
this, or
that's
you'll
right.
never do this, or you'll never be, and they hold that,
Mhm.
and then that helps to put them into your, the system, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but
Yeah.
we also, again, but we most of the time we try to divert them. And they don't know the difference. They don't see a judge.
Yeah.
They don't, there's none of that going on.
I love it.
It's just, pouring into them.
I love it, and I think that's what's needed. Poured
Absolutely.
into them.
He thinks I'm playing. Look, but I'm
He'll
gonna reach
welcome
out.
you.
I'm gonna reach
He's gonna
out
call
because
you and say, where you at?
4300.
Look, I see. I
4300.
had it. I had it.
Yeah,
4300.
you
I'm
can
gonna
reach
call
out to
her.
him.
April, that's all. She's the only April in there. So
I'm gonna call her because like you said, what else? What else I got to do? Well, exactly.
during the season of COVID,
Yeah,
not
well,
hot.
this is true, but hey,
We have
why not pour into some people?
Well, and that's if we want be the change you want
wanna
to see.
That's right.
And there you go.
Absolutely.
So you want to see kids change, or you want to see their behaviors, help change that behavior by
Absolutely.
being present. with
Just
them.
show up.
Just show
Just
up.
show up.
And a lot of times, when they're in the schools and stuff, and they act out or act up, like I said, it's not because they're bad kids. It's not. They're just going through some
well,
situations.
a lot of time. Here's what my chief juvenile officer, Steve Norman, great guy, ex-police officer, but he does a wonderful job. He says you don't want to do something when you're mad.
True.
It's not a punishment.
True.
And that really resonated with me because a lot of times kids are frustrated.
Yes.
And you want to just throw in the towel and say,
Yes.
I'm done. Take this kid away.
Yeah.
Get him out of here. And that's a challenge, don't get me
Right.
wrong.
No, I
But we don't want to make a decision because we're angry. And I think that really resonates with me. And I know that's, we're looking for solutions and not reacting in anger.
Right.
And that's where we're at.
Well, I like that, and that's a good place to end on because it said looking for solutions.
Yes.
So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for
your
having
time.
me.
Thank you for
Absolutely.
sweating with us. And we
My
apologize,
pleasure.
but
No,
it's like,
okay.
man.
It's okay.
So, yeah, thank you though.
You bet.
So, y'all know how we roll around here.
And solutions, it's so important.
He was
that,
full of them.
I know. And that's the thing we need to focus on is
Absolutely.
solutions, because it's easy to say, you'll never amount to this, or just
Problem
anybody.
child, or all
Yeah.
those things, and then
Yeah.
they're stuck in that mindset.
Yeah. Calling him bad. Well, he's bad. Well, that's what he's going to be.
No.
That's what he's going to believe. And that's what he's going to be.
It's so funny because one of my nephews,
Mhm.
we put, you put him in sport. Well, keep him active. That's what you hear.
Yes,
Keep him
yes.
active. Keep him active.
Keep him active.
He could care less about a sport.
Yeah.
So, but you know what he likes? Anything with wheels. Anything that moves.
Yes.
So when I tell you he can drive a dirt, he's 6.
Yes.
He drives a dirt bike. He can drive
Very
a car.
well.
You didn't hear that. He can drive a car. He can drive the boat. I mean, anything that moves,
Yeah.
he's all about it. So we put him in dirt bike racing, and he loves it. So it's about knowing the person, right?
Yes.
Getting to know that child, and then yes, keep them active in stuff that they enjoy. Don't force them to do things.
I know. I sometimes have to learn that the hard way
Mhm.
because you want your kids, you know, especially if you were athletically inclined.
You want them to be a
want them
place
to be
for
like,
it. I
yes,
understand.
yes, and they don't want
No.
to, and
I
you
want to play the
know
violin though,
they want to play the violin
No.
or whatever,
and you're like, ugh.
or they
We
want
can
to
play
be.
the violin.
Yes, whatever it is, it's like
We're gonna play the heck out of that violin. That's what we're gonna do.
yes, that's what we meant to say.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
gonna like it.
Cause I get it. Cause I hated volleyball. Man, they made me play. You hear me say this all the time. They made me
Yes.
play.
But anyway, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
Our new favorite phrase.
While we're still sweating,
Yes, next week.
we have another guest next week.
Yes, we will have the chief.
The Chief Roland, will be with us from the JPD.
Yes. So we really want you to have your questions ready. Send them to us beforehand.
You know, I feel like we say that, and then y'all don't send
And
us
y'all don't
anything.
send us any.
So
and
then-
then you get mad if we don't cover something.
Yeah, you're like, you didn't even ask my question. I'm like, what question?
We can't think of all of it, but
Right.
we want your feedback. We want to hear from you because you're the
Absolutely.
community and it takes you guys. So, and we know you got some questions for Chief. We got some
Chief.
questions for Chief.
We have quite a few questions.
Absolutely. So
Well-
we are excited to have him, and we thank you guys for joining us today on the Colbert Connection.
Is
And,
it time already?
It's,
Damn, we
it's
do a
time.
great job.
It's
close.
time. We don't want to keep you no longer than we want to talk in this heat.
In the heat, while
Because
we
it's hot.
sweating. But we do want to thank our team.
Yes.
She almost forgot.
Because
It's
we have
important.
we have a sheet,
Oh, I know we do, but
a screen.
you got music for that too?
If they put some on there.
Okay.
So,
So-
It's coming in the future.
see?
Good things right around the corner.
There we go. There we
There's
go.
our team
We
talking.
got a team. Put up
We
that
have a
last
tech
slide, team.
producer. Yes. Our tech producer.
Yes.
We have a production assistant. We have our announcer.
Oh yes, don't forget him.
Yeah.
He's important.
And we have a casting director.
Oh yes, the
So
casting
we are
director.
moving on up. We
Yes.
really are. We are already on the east side, but we're moving on up. And we're excited. And you guys better get on now because when all the big people start seeing us and we become one of them, we ain't gonna know y'all because you're gonna act like you don't know us now. So everybody that's not tuning in,
She doesn't mean that.
yes I do.
I'll be the nice Colbert. Look, she didn't mean it.
She said it before me. So get on the train now. Okay. And thank you for joining us. And we'll see you next week on the Colbert Connection.
Bye.